What's up, everybody? This is Lamar, and this is TFG tonight. And I'm excited about the topics we have on our agenda tonight. And I'm also excited about the guests that I have tonight to talk through these topics with. There's a whole lot going on, particularly in Washington, and we're going to talk about them. All right. We're also going to talk about some injustices that are transpiring in the United States, and mostly Georgia and Kentucky. And when I mention Kentucky, I'm talking about Breonna Taylor, the young lady that was murdered by police officers recently. And also we're going to talk about some more about Ahmaud. Ahmaud's been on my agenda every week. I think it's true injustice that happened in Georgia with those two gentlemen that murdered him. A lot of black people getting murdered recently. I'm not sure what that's all about, but we're going to talk about it as well. Some people might not want us to, but we're going to keep it at the forefront until we get justice for Ahmaud and also justice for the young lady. After that, we're going to chat just a little bit about what's going on in Congress. There's a liability clause that they're trying to push through. Trump is trying to push through. Also, $1 trillion stimulus that the Democrats are trying to push through, a second stimulus. And I'm not turning any stimulus checks down. Not sure where the $1 trillion is going to come from, but I ain't turning it down. I guess I'll worry about the higher taxes later on, but give me my monies, all right? And also going to chat a little bit about the House proxy voting that actually just passed. So I'll tell you more about that. And then, as always, we're going to end it with black deeds. What are black people doing in this world? I'm just a big advocate of my community and highlighting great things that are happening. While we see a whole lot of negative that goes on in our community, I like to spotlight and highlight the great things that we are doing. Not to exclude anybody, any race, any pool of people, but my community, people that look like me, I would definitely like to highlight those people. And I welcome you guys. I welcome the audience. I welcome everybody that's watching from all walks of life, all parts of the world, white, black, yellow, pink, green, blue, Hispanic, Asian, Caucasian, persuasion. I welcome all y'all to the broadcast, and I definitely want you guys to be vocal in the comments. And if you have something you're very passionate about, and you want to get in on this conversation, and you want to share your perspective, or you want to challenge my perspective, or any of the other panelists' perspective, just say something in the comments, and the producer will bring you in, and we'll chat about it. Nothing's off limits. Let's talk about it. All right. So, who do I have in the green room right now? Whoever I have, let's bring someone out and let's chat a little bit. Let's chat. There we go. I know this fella. This is my brother right here. What's going on,
Yes,
bro?
sir. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm excellent. This is Mr. Brenton Haynes.
Yeah, AKA Teddy. Last name Bear.
I thought you were gonna say Teddy P.
No,
Teddy
no,
P.
no, no. Teddy want the lights turned out.
Right. You said leave them lights on.
Yeah, leave him on. Yeah,
So
nah.
I just read through a whole lot of topics. We're just gonna chat, just a civilized brother to brother conversation with a few friends that are gonna pop in
Y'all see what I'm
periodically.
representing right here, right? Right here.
Absolutely,
Yes, sir.
absolutely,
The brother
absolutely.
is missed. The brother is missed.
So we're gonna chat about some things. I just want to get your perspective on some of these topics. Have
Yes,
you
sir. Let's
been
go.
have you been hearing the news about Breonna Taylor?
I have. I have. For me, what I've heard, man, I haven't heard enough of it though. Parking a
Oh,
good show now. Look at her. Look at
look
her.
who done
Look.
pop. Well,
Wait
we
a
got our
minute.
guests come in. Look at these folks. Look at these
Madam Fletcher.
Fletch is
Hey,
in the
hey,
house.
Good. Hey, what's going
long time
on?
no see.
I'm telling you.
It's a
Well,
it's
you know what? I know this gonna take a turn.
it's this a family this a
So
family reunion.
your
Right.
family's doing
Soul
good?
food
Everybody
family
okay?
reunion.
Everybody's
Say
okay?
yes, man. How you
Okay.
doing?
What's up,
We're
Adam? What's
good.
going on, Adam?
We're good. We just we did a soft open. We're in phase one of opening up today. And I'm still in the house. I went to the office and I came home and that's how we're doing.
Have you been wearing your mask? You been wearing the
Oh,
mask
hold
when you
on,
get
hold
off?
on.
Oh, you got it with
I'm telling you, we can social distance right now.
you. Yeah, a lot of people are not wearing masks.
You said you asked have I been wearing
Look at
my
you
mask?
Oh, you got several of them. Look at you. You ready? You
Yeah,
prepared?
I have one for
Uh,
every day of the week for at
I'm
least three
probably gonna
weeks.
be controversial, man. I'm gonna
Right
be
on.
honest.
Well, let's dive into this Breonna Taylor situation. So basically, Breonna Taylor, 26 years old, she was an EMT, and I'm looking this way because I got my notes up. She was asleep in her home after midnight. Police bust in with supposedly with a search warrant for a drug investigation and shot and killed her. They say they took fire from her boyfriend, who was a licensed carrier, by the way,
In his home.
and they shot back and they murdered this 26-year-old healthcare worker. What are y'all's thoughts on this? Let's go to Brenton first, and then let's go down to Stacy, then we go down.
Yeah, my thoughts are typical, but at the same time, um, I I want to learn how to react like our other brothers and sisters, but it's so hard to because we see it too much.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that a lot of white people don't get shot, a lot of other ethnicities don't get shot and killed. But my problem is that I feel like we're making so much, like they're bringing it to our attention so much that they want us to act a fool. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And I really wish that we could learn how to. I've seen white people be mistreated just like black people, right?
yeah.
But they wait, right? They wait for outcomes, and unfortunately, a lot of times the system is rigged for them, but yet and still you have to see their response to stuff, right? And I think that's what we have to get accustomed to is having the patience to wait things out. And I'm saying when it's time to act the fool, fine. You know what I'm saying? Do what you gotta do. But as it relates to right now, we gotta hear it all. Like, okay, real quick and I'm gonna shut up. Yeah, I remember the time they did a story about that Indian guy who was beating that drum in front of those white kids' face, and they were saying how the white kids were badgering that Indian.
I
But
think I
then
remember that.
when you saw the whole story, the Indian approached them first, and it's like everybody who was rooting for those white kids to get in trouble, now they felt stupid. Why? Because the story came out in its entirety and found out that that guy antagonized them first. So I'm just wanting to wait for the whole story. Not to say that it wasn't shady, but let's wait before we jump to all the conclusions. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. I think that's fair for sure. What about you, Stacy? What's your thought?
Okay, well, let's see. First of all, I gotta say, as far as those boys who antagonized the Native American man, they did go there to protest. They went there with their school, and they did actually go to protest. And so I still believe that the Native American man was justified because they weren't there for the purpose of peace. Um, and so going on to the situation with our community and all the murders that have happened. Um, Personally, I don't think the response has been strong enough. We are very measured. We are very reticent. Um, and I feel like that's not how we got to where we are today. Our ancestors could not be patient and quiet. They could not all be that way, or we would still be picking cotton for free. Um,
Mm,
Like, I mean, I live around the corner from Nat Turner Boulevard. I live about 3 hours away from where Nat Turner's rebellion took place. Um, and the fact is, not everybody behaved like Nat Turner, but somebody had to in order for change to happen. Everybody couldn't be Stephen from Django, right? Like, somebody, somebody had to be Django, right? Like somebody had to be
Really?
somebody had to be that.
My
Um,
goodness.
and I do think, I'm grateful for social media because we know more about these things when they happen. Like before, we would just know what happened in our own individual communities. And so, if something happened in Texas, y'all know, and I have no idea what happened. If something happens in Virginia, I know, and y'all don't know what happened.
yeah.
Like with the young man who was beat up by police officers here in Virginia. And he was minding his business, student body president. He's, I believe, a Kappa, you know, all the signs of a good Negro, right? And that did not matter. He was minding his business like any other college student in that area. It's lots of colleges in this area. And so he was no different. You know, he wasn't, by all accounts, he wasn't doing anything different than any other young college student was doing. You know, he was hanging out downtown. He went to a bar or two. He was not drunk. He was not unruly. None of that stuff. But none of that matters when a person sees you as a target. You know, you can be the best behaved Negro you want to be, but if somebody, and I say that as someone who's been to private school. You know, I went to a private university. You know, I speak well, all that good stuff. You know, I'm light skinned even. I got all the good Negro check marks, right?
My
But
goodness.
but I've also been targeted by white people when I was doing absolutely nothing wrong. Like, and I don't mean nothing wrong, like doing stuff white kids get away with. I mean literally nothing wrong. And so this young lady was murdered in her home. And quite frankly, I think her boyfriend did what we all would do if you carry it. You know, my boyfriend and I, we live together, but we don't carry. We have other weapons. We don't carry. We don't use guns. And if somebody was to like bust in our door, and you know, Drew is 6'11". Okay, he's gonna knock the shit out of somebody. He gonna hit you first and ask questions later,
Jeremiah, he is the
right? Especially if you're busting into our home. We're not in your home. You're in our home.
Right on.
If you don't identify yourself, what do you think is gonna happen?
And that's exactly what's going to happen. Let's get Adam in on this conversation. Adam, you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, basically what's going on is this is the post I told you so age. Like for years, even as a kid, I'm from the hood in Pennsylvania, and dirty cops, you're going to run into them all the time. You're going to run into people abusing their power all the time. You see it. Poverty will show you who the people think they are because when they have authority over you and all of that. And the thing is, now with cell phones, surveillance, cars got cameras, you can see it everywhere. It doesn't even matter. I mean, while one story is going out the door, another story is coming in. So at first, the I told you so era was like, around the time, like early 2000s was like, okay, now we got video cameras coming out. Surveillance is good enough so you can see it. Even, I believe Dave Chappelle did a skit where it was like, honey, apparently they've been beating up black people like hotcakes. Like, okay, everybody can see it now. Fast forward 10 years later, it's been going on so much that it doesn't feel like it's just me in my little neighborhood. It's everywhere. And the police organizations have been almost militarized without cars, without checks. So they're able to do whatever they want to do. And you see all of these killings going on. Now it's to the point where, listen, we have evidence. This is not we just making these stories up because we're black. Nah, this is really going on. You see the evidence, you see the camera, you see the pictures, you see what's going on. What's going
Adam, they said somebody said Tam said turn the sexy voice off.
God 6. That's funny.
All right. Last point. And then I'm gonna turn it off.
Right.
At the same time, all of this is going on. We got all the documentation. We still have people with eyes wide open who are blind to it. Our advocates that really could work with us and help us, blind to it. And then just as if, we're all raised in the same house, brothers, sisters, and you see one of your brothers throwing rocks at a neighbor's house, that neighbor who's not related to them is going to be like, I don't know how you was raised, this, that, and the other, this, that. But you see your brother, you be like, oh, man, we wasn't raised like that. Come in this house, man. Leave them people alone. It's a different feel to when you're working with family within the culture versus people outside.
Right on.
Let me ask the question. Well, I grew up in the hood too, right?
Yeah.
I grew up, I got my family out, but I grew up in there, right?
Right.
Gunshots mean nothing to me. I hear them, it's nothing, right? But my issue is, right? What's the difference? And I don't mean by racism, I'm talking about the energy that we give to what I'm about to say. What's the difference between uh dudes having issues with other dudes and somebody shooting into a house and somebody dies sitting on their couch to something like this happening? I'm not saying saying that I'm equating them. I'm saying where is our frustration with our own people as we are frustrated with the white people? Why
My,
are we not as frustrated
my.
with them
Ooh, stop that.
and as we are with the white folks? That's all I'm asking, right?
I'm with you with that
Hey, I'm
question.
100 because
Okay,
I
because
actually,
then we don't get that energy though.
yeah.
I
I've
think we talked
actually,
about that last show too.
mhm,
We don't. While this is a travesty, while I feel like cops have really kind of become just murderers almost. I don't understand
yeah,
what the deal is, right?
mhm,
We do not give the same energy when it's
yeah.
us against each other,
Oh, I'm
which is
definitely gonna answer
unfortunate.
too. I do.
We don't
I'm
march.
gonna answer.
We don't we don't do any of that.
Yeah.
Why is that, Stacey?
Well, one, I don't think that's true. I can't speak for Texas. I'm not from Texas. I've never been to Texas. I'm gonna get there at some point, but not anytime soon because of Corona. But I'm gonna get there.
Uh,
Um,
Really?
but no, here I can say here we have stop the violence rallies. We have stop the violence movements. We have websites. We have Facebook pages. I know somebody stopped me when I was going to get gas, and they were collecting money for their stop the violence movement. I have one of those wristbands on my desk, from
Mm-hmm.
one of these youth movements. And so we do have those things. We have protests. We have Mothers Against Violence organizations here in Virginia. Again, I can't say what y'all do in Texas,
yeah, we
but
got
I can tell you what we do here on the ground in Virginia. We have candlelit vigils or candlelight vigils. So we're very active against general violence. Um, and the difference, I think, is intra-community violence happens at the same rate statistically among all
facts,
racial groups, regardless of
facts,
socioeconomic status.
facts.
So Black people are not inherently more violent toward each other than any other groups,
It's
right?
just who you're around.
The difference, of course, is the media portrayal of
Right.
what we do.
That's
When
exactly.
the term Black on Black crime was invented to put the spotlight on Black crime, because the fact is, white on white crime happens at twice the rate that Black on Black crime happens, because there are more than twice as many white people than there are Black people. We cannot make up 13% of the population. It is statistically impossible, mathematically impossible for a group of people to make up 13% of the population and to make up 67% of the crime.
Right.
That's just statistically
That's
impossible.
we got a lot
Um,
of comment. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
okay.
Let me get
And
to some
so
comments.
to that end, I don't think I can, at least for my community, we are equally upset. I personally was, foster care and adoption worker. I have been an intensive in-home counselor with youth for at least a decade now, probably more than that. I'm telling my age, y'all missed it. I turned 40 2 months ago. So for
Oh,
quite a while now.
happy
Um,
birthday.
and so I've personally worked to work against violence in our own communities, but the violence in our communities it does not occur in a vacuum. It is a symptom. And it's not a symptom necessarily. I mean, we all know it's a symptom of the greater problem, which is racism, right? Systemic racism has a lot of bastard children, and violence in our community is one of them. But it happens for the same reason that crime everywhere happens: proximity, lack of resources. And the greatest lack of resources happens where you find Black and brown people, period.
Okay.
The biggest lack of resources happens. It's like we get forgotten because there's no tax money going there. There's no money going into schools. There's no money going into job development. All those things that prevent violence, those are forgotten when it comes to our communities. And so I don't think that at all that we are less interested in violence against each other. If anything, I personally would love to take several gang members, and I work with gang members. I know all kind of gang signs, all kind of stuff I shouldn't know being from the suburbs, right? But I would love to take some of my former gang members and channel that energy into something outside of each other, right? I'd like to know why George Zimmerman is still walking around and there's Bloods, Crips, and Vice Lords in Florida right now. Like I'd like to know, right, why they just shot a young lady for testifying against a gang member, but George Zimmerman is going to Target this weekend.
Yeah.
Right. I'd like to know why that is. And so I do have those questions, and I do work against violence toward each other. But no, I don't think it's apathy. on our part.
All right, let's get to some of these. Chris Bragg says it's a narrative that has been perpetuated over the past 40 years to make us believe we are the problem. I don't necessarily believe we're the problem, but I think we have some responsibility that needs to be taken with a lot of stuff that happens to us. A lot, and we don't. I think we do sometimes play the victim, in my opinion. Next, Tam says we can do. What can we do to stop situations like Breonna Taylor and Kenneth Walker from happening?
Nothing.
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 Okay. So this is my thing, and I'll give me 60 seconds, and I'm gonna get off of it. We talk about the media, right? The mainstream media, but Facebook, social media, glorifies crimes. I saw somebody say something. I think it was Kamashay. She said, "We shoot somebody, we go to jail." That may not always be true because people won't say anything. I literally saw somebody run over somebody's mama, and somebody posted it on Facebook.
Yep, I
Like
saw that.
everybody who videos crimes or assaults happening, they want to catch the show instead of helping with the justice.
Right.
That is not, man. Listen, our grandparents and our great grandparents were more poor than we were now, living in more poverty than we were now, and it wasn't that much violence. So I don't know about poverty being the reason, because that can't be. My granddaddy didn't kill my uncle, right? My uncles didn't go rob their neighbors. That's my issue, right? We glorify, man. We got so many World Star, all these different social media things, right? That we enjoy. No, listen, the word I just said, we enjoy looking at it, but then we get up in arms. If the person that was behind that car that hit that black lady was white, we'll have a problem.
Then it's
black,
racism
we
at that
enjoy
point.
right, but we enjoy it when it's black.
Yep.
So that's all. Well, you can watch
I'm
it.
sorry, I got to interject that I personally have been in situations. There's
right.
I have to give you the psychologist perspective. There's the Kitty Genovese syndrome, where the Kitty Genovese syndrome came about, where a young lady was stabbed in a stairwell in Brooklyn, New York. Right. I may have the wrong borough. Boyfriend's family for Brooklyn, but I know the state was Brooklyn, and the young woman was stabbed to death. People heard her screaming out, calling for her, pleading for her life, and that when they interviewed these people later, the police got 40 or 50 witness accounts. Yeah, I heard her screaming. Yeah, I heard her running. I heard her saying, "Help me." I heard her saying, "Stop." I heard her saying, "No." Right. So 40 or 50 people heard this, and this is, mind you, this is well before the dawn of even the first cordless phone, much less a cell phone. But these people heard her, and when the police said, "Why didn't you call somebody?" They found it dead in the stairwell. They said, "Why didn't you call somebody?" Everybody thought someone else would make the call. Right. So it's the bystander effect. And so now what we have in the age of social media being so ubiquitous is we have the instant news effect, right? CNN was the first 24-hour news channel. So we have the instant news, we need media, we need a constant stream of information. And then we also have the bystander effect in conjunction. And so somebody thinks, I'm going to get it on film, and someone else will call. I can say personally, I was at a club, it's been a couple of years, we were at a club and a guy fell out at the bar, right? Fell out. And I mean, he did this and then this, like he was just gone. And everybody started screaming. Me and all my social worker friends were there. We're all CPR first aid trained. And the people who own the bar just kind of rolled a man to one side, and we're screaming, you don't touch them, don't do this, don't do that. And everybody in there was screaming, "Call 911, call 911." All of these people were yelling. No one was dialing. People were looking and people were watching, but nobody. And so I said, okay, after 2 or 3 minutes, I'm like, okay, well, I'm a dial because I can't be in here with a body. And so I called. But my point is that a lot of times people will, in our community, the other compounding issue is our relationship with the police. Again, I can say, as a social worker, as a mental health professional, I have gone to help people. I have gone dressed professionally with badges, identification, all of that, my best white people, English, all that good stuff. And I have had police show up and draw down on me. Not the person who was acting out, not the person who was clearly in need of de-escalation, but draw down on me. And so, again, I know if this happens to me, me, the college educated degree, whatever whatever professional, then this absolutely happens to your everyday average person.
I don't think,
And
and
quite frankly, I don't call the police because of that. I don't talk to police to the police unless it is professionally required or legally required. And like in the event of an auto accident, I don't talk to the police. I don't want any interaction with the police if I can possibly help it. But
is there any
that's part of the issue as well.
our relationship with the police? I know we're kind of going away from the whole topics thing, but this is good stuff that needs to be talked about, and I don't want to rush it. So we might get to the other topics, Miss Producer, or we might not. We never know how this is gonna go. So our relationship with the police. Let's talk about it. Do we have any responsibility in with, for instance, say you're a cop, your beat is the hood. What precautions are you taking? What worries do you have going to the hood at night patrolling? Do you have any, or you feel like you're safe?
All of them.
If you white or you black,
If you ain't from there, you ain't safe. It don't matter if
That's
you got
right.
Yeah,
badge
if
on.
you're not from there, you're not safe.
And
You
all
don't
the
know. If
cops
you don't know,
all the cops who police these areas are not even from there. They just hear crazy stories. They're not raised. They don't know the cultures. They come in heavy-handed, and all they got is guns and the authority. So
what's the reason for that? Why aren't people safe when they go if they're not from that area? What's the reason?
because of fear.
Yeah.
They don't, the ignorance, right? They don't know that the back alley to the grocery store, they back there shooting dice, not selling drugs. But if you grew up there, you know that that's Sean them back there shooting dice.
Yeah,
You're not finna go.
Cut that
You're
out.
not finna go. Yeah, hey, y'all chill
know
out.
y'all ain't
That's
supposed to
it.
be doing that. You know,
Right.
That's the difference.
But he's saying that they really know. If you're not from there, then you're not safe if you go. Why is that?
Well, you got to look at it. The rate of how our cultures have escalated into guns. Like, it wasn't every day that kids had guns, and usually it's like stuff reserved for the seedy, underhanded people. But now you got kids like 11, 12 running around with guns. And it's not because they drug dealers. It's because someone else may shoot them. And if it be a cop, you might get shot too, because at the end of the day, it's about survival. And a lot of these areas are pushed into what is the survival mode. When you come from another area, I've been there where cops have said, I see them shaking as they're approaching my car. Like, bro, you need to calm down so we can get this. I was only like 10 miles over the limit in this area. So, you calm down, because if you draw, I might have to draw because I'm just trying to save my life. In other words, judge by 12 and carry by 6.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not an issue though? Like,
but it's a Cold War issue. How can you de-escalate?
Like cops get a bad rap. All colors cops, no matter if they black, white. White cops get a worse rap because they killing us. But cops as a whole are killing us, right? Or killing us without the quotes. They're killing us. But it's a hard ass job going to a place where you could be killed.
Yeah.
If you could be the best person in the world, as you said, educated and upstanding, and you have to go to a place and be on your P's and Q's doing stops. That's a hard thing. So I think.
But dude, listen, the people in the military go overseas in other people's country and have less casualties than we do. Mm-hmm. So I don't listen, lack of training, whatever. Yep. We all listen. I would prefer to see little Johnny that just graduated from high school go train to be in the police academy and come back and police his neighborhood.
There you go.
Rather than I see Damon Wilson from Southlake coming down here because that's the only opening. Yeah. That's the problem. Yep. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. I don't want segregation, but maybe separation. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe that's the helpfulness of I'm not gonna pull my gun because that's the hobo walking in his house, his mama house. She keep letting him in. You know what I'm saying? Because you already familiar with the area. You don't trip, right? The dude that's coming to the back door of the store, no, he not breaking in. He the one that the dude hired to clean up the store. It's about the relativity of it all. That's the issue. And of course, there's too much money out there for us to even make that right. Why? Because if Johnny did grow up and become a police officer, guess who's gonna test him? the cats in the hood. Why? Because you ain't running nothing, and then so it's always gonna be something, right? Man, one of the greatest freedom leaders of all time couldn't even fix the problem, and he said that he had a dream, and he couldn't even fix the problem. So what in the world are we gonna do now when we don't even have a third of that type of temperance? I mean, dude, to get beat? Come on, man. Nah, bro. We ain't
I
want
mean,
we ain't want you
I
to call
got
us out our name.
I just have to say it's a cultural issue and it's a human issue in that people are comfortable where they're comfortable, right? People feel safe where they feel comfortable. And which is why after Trayvon Martin was murdered, I did not visit my mother in Orlando for about 3 years. My mother came home. My mother came home to Virginia. I would not go there because she had moved to a new neighborhood and those people did not know me. And when I have my hair out, it's wash day. Y'all don't know about this. Ask your wife, your girlfriend. It's wash day, so it's a whole bunch of hair. Y'all have seen my hair, right? Brian,
Yeah, I've seen. We've seen
Lamar,
that.
y'all seen his hair. It's a whole lot of hair under here. And there was no way. My mother was afraid for me to show up in her mostly white gated community neighborhood because to a lot of people, I look like a big Afro-haired teenager, right? And I'm unknown to the area. They don't know my car. They don't know me. They don't know who this is showing up. And I couldn't. And most of the time, the flights arrive later in the day. And I just did not. Or if I drove, I was definitely going to arrive later in the day. And we did not want to take the risk of me showing up with these people who love their guns in a stand your ground state. And because remember they shot Trayvon and Trayvon lived there.
Now, I feel you on that. That's kind of the same situation with, and as I transition, Ahmaud.
Yeah.
Kind of the same. I guess that's the same situation with Ahmaud Arbery, who was jogging. I mean, I think some of them are trying to say he wasn't just jogging, but from what we know,
I seen
he
the
was
video.
He was jogging,
He was
and
minding
these
his
white
own
guys,
business. That's all too.
right,
Whatever
took
he's
it
doing,
upon
he's minding
themselves.
his own business.
Minding his own business. They took it upon themselves to apprehend him and murder him. Don't know why. I mean, well, we guess we do know why. But perhaps there's more to the story. Perhaps there's not. Brent, what you got?
I have a question. So this is what bothers me about that story. Like I've had a cell phone ever since they made them, right? Well, almost. I had a Nokia, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
and
Lord.
right,
Motorola.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yes sir, Razor. You know what I'm saying? I had it, right?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. My only thing is, I've never driven down the street just videoing.
right.
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 Never.
Right.
Never. I'm even when I see some crazy stuff, right? I'm
Yeah.
never
Count Shay.
just on
Yeah.
my phone videoing. That in itself is an issue for me
Mm-hmm.
because the premeditation is that you driving and you videoing, but all of a sudden you know the people in the truck and y'all knew this cat. So and if the dude been doing this before, somebody was plotting.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
they said they had
some
an altercation with him earlier in the day.
yeah, but
That's
I'm saying
come out.
to be like I want to know if this dude run at this time every day or every whatever
Well,
because it's too much stuff that tells me that don't make no sense.
did y'all?
Why all of a sudden you recording and you know something unless
Oh
you
yeah.
got some type of fortune telling skills that you knew was gonna happen,
Right.
bro? Why you recording?
Right.
And he being real funny, right? He don't want to talk about none of that. So
Oh,
we
nothing.
gotta. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm waiting for the bigger picture,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
there's
This
more.
one, he R. Kelly trapped in the closet, and the midget come out the door,
Okay.
and you like
Well,
what?
did you
I'm just
catch the
saying, bro.
picture? Did you catch the video of him actually on the construction site and
Yeah, I
leaving?
Yeah.
saw it,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
but that's what I'm saying. Like
Well,
none of that makes
basically,
sense.
this is me putting one and one together because the concerned neighbor comes out with a phone, police getting called, so my man is out of there. He didn't take anything. He didn't do anything illegal. He's just out of there. I don't need this kind of hassle. Um, Going back to the story, nobody who owned anything, the property owner, anybody was involved in that. That was just newsy neighbors, which comes back to Trayvon Martin policing or doing the police's job when you really don't have to. And then the guy with the camera, like we're talking about this beautiful piece of evidence, or else they could have covered this all the way up, like they tried to do. Um, he didn't think it was going to go beyond what it was, or else he
Right.
wouldn't have been recording with the
Right.
posse. So,
Yeah.
as far as
That's
him being the staying back and no, you were a part of it, but we're glad that you gave us your evidence.
right on. Let's look at some of these comments. Miss Producer, let's switch through a few of them here. Tam said, "I don't want to segregate. I love my people, but I love all people too." I'm with you on that. I can't. I
I
don't
want
want
to
to.
segregate.
I want to be around everybody.
I want to segregate.
But we gotta take the good with the bad.
And Comashay says, "It's amazing how officers are trained for intense situations, but us as civilians are expected to react with that as if we were trained." What
Yeah,
else we got? What
that
else we
might
got?
have to be another book.
Tamisha says separation is the only thing Louis Farrakhan talks about for us that I agree with. Bring Black Wall Street. We as a nation, Tam says, pull from other cultures. It just is what it is.
Yeah,
But we don't trust ourselves either,
yeah.
And that's the thing. We
You
don't.
know,
right? We don't
well,
trust ourselves.
actually, pause. We do trust ourselves only when faced with a obstacle or
I
some
don't.
kind of danger for
that,
both
bro,
of
that,
us.
I
Listen,
won't
bro,
do.
Martin,
Listen. I'm not saying that two sides are just going to be kumbaya,
Yep, Candace.
but when there's somebody that comes into the neighborhood that threatens the whole neighborhood, then you'll see, oh, you cool, because we could go back to whatever we was doing later, but we got to focus on this right now, and that's the one thing about it. You can't come together to focus
That's
on the
exactly
threat
right.
and then go back to fighting each other when the threat is over. 9/11 showed me that because I was on a campus in the middle of Pennsylvania, and you couldn't say I was no farther from any city or whatever. I'm in the country. And you know how they look at me, one of the few minority students on campus. 9/11 happens. Now we all Americans, and you good and I'm good. We speak of the English, and so now we cool now because planes are flying in the buildings. You don't know what's going to happen next, so I'm not your enemy anymore. Until 2008, November. Now all of a sudden, oh, you back to being who you were. Okay, that's cool. That's cool, man. I get it. So the one thing, I mean, I'm cool with a lot of people. I respect all cultures. I actually study the world. But the one thing I believe our people need to do as far as segregation, I'm not talking about being rude and racist. We need to literally do like our parents did. We need to get that gigantic T-shirt put over our head and put together until we learn how to be together.
But real talk, what's preventing that? What's preventing Black folks getting together and doing something together? Competition.
Money.
Somebody want to be the top. Put each other down. Crabs in a barrel mentality. We have to fight through that within ourselves before we can do anything. Before we can have a Black Wall Street.
But Lamar, you get that giant T-shirt. Get that giant T-shirt that they put the two kids in. You put everybody in a proverbial giant T-shirt where we got to stick it out together. We'll figure it out. But right now, we got friends that could bail us out over here. Some people got money, some people don't. We got the elite, we got the status, we got the lights here. We got until we figure it out. But it's all in that little barrel. It'd be the
Lamar,
best thing ever happened to.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure. Uh-oh.
Is the barrel the native habitat of the crab?
It's a barrel.
So you're saying we'll put in the barrel.
Right.
Well, are we not intelligent enough to get out of the barrel?
Yeah, you cut a hole in the
barrel.
But the point is that the barrel is not the native habitat of the crab.
That's true. I like that.
And additionally, can I just say, crabs hold on to each other. It's been studied. Crabs aren't pushing each other out or stepping on each other. Crabs have been known to hold on to each other and pull each other up.
Well, we're not crabs then, because I don't see that happening with Black folks.
But I don't think that's true.
Wow.
Everybody I know has pulled. I mean, first of all, because of our socioeconomic position, Black people cannot advance without the assistance of other Black people. Right. And other people. Obviously, at some point, you reach a level where you need that white person to you need that white person to hire you, to let you pass a driver's test, to let you get your degree, to whatever it is you need whatever that hurdle is, you need that right person to see you as worthy of passing. But most of us could not get where we were without the assistance of other Black people.
Right.
Somebody's grandma was putting together to keep you going, keep you in school, right? Or
All right,
keep you
Tam.
dressed, or keep you in private school, whatever it was. So we help each other. We do. I don't agree with this idea that we don't push each other up and we don't pull each other up.
It's inconsistent though.
But I do think we have to do more, and we have a lot of hurdles to overcome. With and I say that from the unique position on this panel. I'm the only woman, right?
We
Every
respect
one of
you.
you is a Black man, and so every day you face racism. Every single day that you walk outside of your door, right? You face racism. Every single day when I walk out of my door, I face racism and sexism.
2 times. Got it.
Being Black means that you don't face, being Black as a community means we don't face one hurdle, right? Because Oprah is rich, but she's still Black, right? You know what I mean? So even though she's jumped the economic hurdle, it's not the only hurdle that you have. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a multifaceted problem. It's going to take a multifaceted solution.
I just want to say this to the whole point. Like at the end of the day, there's a word that's commonly used that I believe is also almost like a symptom to the problem, right? And that's manipulation, right? Like Tam said, when the FBI or any type of governmental entity wants to manipulate Black people, who do they get to manipulate Black people? Other Black people.
Other Black people.
Right. So who is that? Is that a proverbial barrel? No, that's people being people. And until we come to a place where I'm cool that you got 4-bedroom house and I'm okay with a 2-bedroom house, and I'm not trying to figure out how I can get a 5-bedroom house, we're gonna keep doing it, right? Because somebody gonna say, hey man, I'll get you a 5-bedroom house, but I need you to do this. Yeah. I mean, y'all seen the movies, right? They get the Black lady to tell the pastor that she did something so they can start a problem, right? That's why it was so important for Barack Obama to be as upstanding as he was in the presidency, because had he even did 1/4 of what, man, even a 10th of what Trumpy Bear did. Y'all know that's a real thing, right? Yeah. TrumpyBear.com. Trumpy Bear. No. Think I'm playing. Go TrumpyBear.com. Go look it up. He got them.
Okay.
Even 1/10 of that out. Gone.
Right, Shahana, I believe Shahana said.
Right?
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. We don't want to be clean because the dirty money okay, anyway, all right. Okay.
Shahana says we need therapy. I don't think people realize that we all need to go talk out our issues so we can heal. I agree with that.
Yeah,
actually.
We need that group T-shirt. Put it over our heads. Put us all together.
Chris says we have to start at the root of the issue, and the root has not been Black people, so we have to start with the Black blame, and I hate it. I mean, I think at some point we do have to look in the mirror. I mean, where does it get us when we point the finger at white folks and what they did hundreds of years ago? I mean, at some point we still have to look at ourselves.
But we got more power.
We have the power in our hands. We have a choice on what we do with our lives.
With each other. Right. Remember, that's right. Remember, we have less chance of convicting a white man for shooting a Black man than we do a Black man convicting another Black man. But we want mom and them want to protect them or whoever they scared. But it starts with us. If we show the white folks that we won't tolerate it from our own people, right, and say every single one of them that do it, you're going down, bro. Right. When we start doing that, then we will be unified and say, well, we ain't gonna take it from him either.
Because right now they look at us like they don't give a damn about each other. We should damn sure don't give a damn.
That's the truth, right?
We don't, but we justified our own idiocy for something weird. We justified like, oh, that's just Pookie. Pookie got a gun. Pookie crazy. Pookie will shoot you. If you say you look at Pookie wrong, and we justify that stuff like it's okay.
I have to interject. mean, I can say personally in this group, in the group of TFG, I have seen where people have justified quite a number of behaviors from Black people. That but when it comes to this accountability, then they'll say, but what about what about what Harvey Weinstein is doing, or what about so so it all depends on what the issue is, because people love to point back out. When it's time for that accountability within our own community, then people go back to, well, what about the white people got away with? Well, what about this? And I always say, I don't really care. I don't give a good damn what white people get away with. I mean, I care obviously as it impacts the greater community, but I'm looking more closely at what are we doing to each other. And so I don't like, white people are more likely to commit crimes against other white people. And I'm talking about individual crime, not talking about systemic crime. I'm talking about individual crime. They're more likely to commit those crimes against each other. And so I definitely hold Black people to a greater standard for that, because, and I don't hold us to that standard because I think if we're all really good Negroes, these white people will really be nice to us. Like, that's been proven wrong. That's been proven wrong. Slavery proved that wrong. When we were all real good Negroes, they didn't care. That didn't stop them from oppressing us. That didn't happen. When we were all dressing in suits and everybody was speaking the Queen's English and all that good stuff, that didn't stop white people from doing whatever they want to do. Wow. But I do agree that we have to be accountable to ourselves, and I really do think men have got to hold each other accountable. Women have got to hold each other accountable. Or masks and femmes, to be more inclusive, have got to hold each other accountable. But there are certain issues where there's no choice but to take it to its ultimate, or not its penultimate conclusion, but its ultimate conclusion. And for that, quite frankly, systemic racism is a motherfucker. Like, it's an all-encompassing motherfucker. But then there are other issues where we do have to point at each other and say, like with sexism, with abandonment of children, with lack of involvement in education systems, things like that. Those are things where we can hold each other personally accountable. Right. Because it's not the white man's fault that you don't get to see your kids if you're not paying child support. That's not the white man's fault.
Well, I don't know how we got on that slide, but all right, yeah. You're right. Don't get me wrong.
Real quick.
Tim
says, I get that. My brother was murdered by a Black thug, so I don't ride for people just because they're Black. There has to be more there for me. I agree with that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's right. And that's what I'm saying. Everybody's so woke, but we on different time zones.
Right on. That's a word.
Oh,
that's a word.
Whoa.
Yeah,
whoa, the last dance. All right.
There you go.
Did you get out my shoe? Okay, thank you.
You know what I'm saying?
Shantae said, if we hold each other accountable, we will still have to hold them accountable as well. We have to do both. I agree. Like Tim said earlier, what she said, we're the solution and the problem.
And the problem.
Yeah, but you know why people don't hold each other accountable, right? Because my brother is the person who did this. And I got all these great memories, but then he killed somebody. Now I gotta basically cut them off like an arm or a limb. And in our community, we're so tight knit that we're not going to turn over the thief. We're not going to turn over
the molester in the family, the stepdaddy or the uncle.
I mean,
you're right.
Tyler Perry started freeing people when he started making movies, pretty much, because we just can't give up the underbelly of our own society.
And that's a shame. We sit around and let our family members commit horrible crimes and
free Pookie. Somebody said free Pookie.
Man, right, but that's what it starts, right?
6 people, man. Sit down.
Abuse, right? The sexual abuse from family members. Nobody says nothing.
And you get chastised. You get ostracized for saying something.
Listen, I grew up in a family where I didn't know why we wasn't allowed to spend the night at nobody's house, go nowhere. It's because your uncle, now that we adults, my mom had to let us know, well, uncle was doing this, that, and the other, so we wouldn't tell you as a kid. Like, well, why is he still in the family walking around?
Why is he still visiting? Why is he still live here?
But I'm the millennial, so, we think a little different than the generation before us, so we start looking at it like, I could have walked into the wrong house at the wrong time and it could have been cursed for me.
Yep.
This by the grace of God, a wedding or a reception or something didn't turn into something crazy. You know what I mean? For me and
Listen,
one of my siblings.
the dentist has it right. A dentist, if you ever go see a dentist, and he see the problem in your mouth, and he said, "Man, you got a cavity, but it's so deep, we got to kill it at the root."
Gotta take it
Mhm.
We
out.
ain't we don't want to listen. We want to fuss about Alex Haley's roots, but we ain't
Mm-hmm.
willing to kill the root of the problem, and that
Yeah.
starts at home. Listen, I
That's me
promise you
too, Shantae. That's me
that
too.
I'm gonna tell y'all this straight up and down. Y'all, I know y'all don't know me, but I'm gonna tell y'all about my mama husband.
Yeah.
He ain't welcome over here,
There you go.
Yeah,
right? Because of what I know happened. I don't play that, and it starts here. And I promise you, if I see something happening, that's in my community, I'm gonna say something.
Yeah.
That's where it starts.
But the
And so
OGs
I
are
do.
gone, man. There
Well,
used to be OGs that would tell you straight up, see you about to do something, anything. They told you straight from the gut, like, yo, you gonna fly right, this, that, and the other. Or somebody will bring you to your parent. You know, I ain't gonna say gonna meet you on the way, but you know, basically the neighborhood looked out and any kind of craziness was going on was already
forget you,
beat out of
Tam.
you by the time you was
I'm
12 or
healed.
13. You know what I'm saying? But we lost that. People don't. I saw my son, a couple of years ago playing basketball on TV, and him and his friends on microphones. Like, you know, you can go outside and play the same game. You don't have to be mobile in this little pod
yeah.
eating sandwiches and whatnot.
Yeah.
Go
That's
get the
good
whole
conversation.
experience.
So Kamashe say, I am not the silent type. I'm snitching, but I'm gonna come visit you and put money up. But I ain't putting no money on no
No, we
books.
don't put
No,
money on
fuck
books.
a book. No, fuck a book.
Yeah,
The
I
thing
wasn't
about
there
it is,
with you, bro.
as much as we respect Big Mama and honor Big Mama cover up a whole bunch of lies and a whole
Yes,
lot
she
of
did.
She's
crazy stuff
been
going on
putting
in the
money on
family.
books too. Big Mama putting money on books
And
and
it's
everything.
ridiculous
Young
that we
boy.
allowed
I
that to
don't know
happen.
what a young boy is.
It's
What's a
no
young
longer
boy?
OG's too busy trying to act
Young
like
boy.
young.
What's a
Yeah,
young boy?
A
young
young
boy.
What's
boy.
a young What's a young
Is she
boy?
coming at me because I'm from Pennsylvania? We say
Oh,
young. We
is
say
that
young boy.
is that something? I don't know what a young boy. What's a young boy?
Nah, just immature. Immature.
Oh,
Like,
okay. Well,
Uh,
I beat my young boy. He get to cutting up. He gonna get a whooping.
yeah,
so
like a teen, tween, 20-ish person.
we got 8 minutes left in this broadcast. So I just want to run through
Oh
some other stuff
man.
we were gonna talk about, but we're not. This time went by. This hour went by quick, boy.
Yeah.
But
Good conversation though. Good
it's
conversation.
real good. This is good. We gotta do this every week. I like this is good. I was gonna talk about the states reopening.
Oh,
More than half of the U.S. will be
Ooh.
partially reopening in the coming days. The virus is likely to keep spreading for at least another 18 months to 2 years.
because
More
they
than 30
doing it
million
like that.
Americans have filed for unemployment since March. Georgia has nearly 1,000 new COVID cases in the past 24 hours,
Come on,
and
man.
we opening up.
Killing my stock portfolio. Come on, man.
Hey man, can I
Everybody
get 30
shut
seconds?
down and let's get up out of here.
Give me 30 seconds.
Go
I'm gonna
for it.
tell you, free will. It's not a sin, but the decisions that you make in it may be. And I'm telling y'all want to talk about manipulation? If we don't learn how to use our own minds and use our own logic, and just because somebody said, "Hey, the zoo is open, go on in," but we forgot to lock the gates to all the animals.
Yeah.
To the Tigers.
Okay,
Orangutans licking on ice
I'm just
cream and shit.
saying. Come on, bro. Y'all
Right.
listen. We
Stupid.
gotta chill out with that, man. Listen, I still ain't going nowhere.
Meaning,
Me
I
neither.
keep seeing these groups of people, everybody, not just people that look like me, but everybody out in line at Ross, a long line of people in line at Ross the other day. Like, really, first of all, who finna see you wearing this stuff? And second of all, you
Right,
gonna risk dying to get some
right.
Ross? Really?
They try
I
to.
do not
Well, they
understand.
said Ross was gonna have a real big clearance since they've been closed, so they're gonna put most of the store on clearance. So
Yeah.
they're
Hey,
trying to
Oh,
get
hey, you
70%
can
that.
rest
off.
in Gucci. That's not me. I ain't
Right.
resting in Gucci.
A lot of people
Oh,
should be people that still getting paid at home should be saving. I done saved so much money not eating every day for lunch. I
maybe
done
they need to.
invested. I done
Killing
invested.
this
Me,
man.
me and my lady get up in the morning. We look at the stock market, looking at this crypto and stock going
Yeah,
up and
man.
down.
Killing me.
Hey,
Let's go.
maybe they getting their outfit for their casket.
Yeah.
Right. There
Exactly.
you go. That's
Rest
it.
in Gucci. Go ahead. Rest in
And
That's
Gucci.
it. Yeah.
I do not get it. Like people are dying. So many people dying. It's crazy.
I'm not
So
I'm
they,
not going anywhere besides work. We are still required to report to campus on site. Of course, university is closed. They were gonna have the students come out and get their stuff that's canceled. You know, we didn't have commencement, none of that. My cousin actually just had commencement from Virginia State today online. It was supposed to be tomorrow, but they had it online today. And of course, they're going to do the mass HBCU Instagram commencement. We ain't going nowhere.
I like
I'm
that, Sherelle. I like what
Yeah.
Maxine
going to
wants.
work.
I'm not a big fan of Maxine Waters
Right.
being a whole moderate over here and not a Democrat.
I love Auntie Maxine. Auntie
I'm not a
Maxine
fan,
said,
but
"Keep your
I
ass
like
at
Max
home."
is all right with me.
And I'm gonna follow my auntie's advice and keep my ass at home.
I'm gonna follow advice this time. Tam says about survival at this point. Maybe we'll get a book deal for us that weren't smart. The thing is, people, it's very irresponsible if you have kids and just if you're around other people. It's very irresponsible. It's neglect, in my opinion. You putting your kids in harm's way because you're an idiot, and you want to go get some Jordans or you want to go to Ross and get some Ross deals. It's stupid. They arrested somebody somewhere. Was it New York, I think, where they arrested somebody?
They arrested some girl from my hometown.
Before the Boys and Girls Club, before the YMCA, what was we doing? At home.
At home.
So I told my kids, welcome to 1979. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to 1979.
That's right, Chris.
Go find you a sandwich.
In the house, I'm in the house board.
That's what I'm saying, right? And we made it. So tell your story to your grandkids.
Right. Nothing comes in here unless we get stuff. It come in here. Everything got to be sanitized, and we don't touch it for a long time before we eat it. Before we get groceries.
Just observe it.
We spray it down with disinfectant, and we don't touch it about 30 minutes. Like, we ain't playing around. We ain't trying to get nothing. Shoot, because the people that's not taking it serious are the same ones that all of a sudden a month later they sad and want prayers because somebody in their family on their deathbed or
the GoFundMe about to go crazy.
Hey, I got news for you.
I need that GoFundMe.
I got news for you. He ain't listening.
Why are these kids wearing masks in public? Well, I saw when I had to go to Target for dog food, and it was a lady in there, and bless her children had masks, and she did not have one.
And then even in Congress today, they were up there talking about this bill that the $1 trillion stimulus and also the liability cost. They're talking about this stuff, and they get up there and they took their mask down under their nose. I'm like, you might well take it off. What are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? And then all these bedazzled ones, like ones that aren't even like the right ones.
Well, it depends. We have the ones. I'm gonna go ahead and do a whole infomercial. We have the ones that have the nose piece.
Get it, honey.
And then we have the disposable filters.
Okay.
That's the first thing I bought when they said that we were going into a partial shutdown. Because of course, you know, my job, we're still required to report. As soon as they said shutdown, I was online ordering masks and filters.
Yeah, we got some real good ones.
I got a question. Is this true? Like people are making masks out of bras?
Not over here, no.
I told my homeboy, I said, listen, I know some ladies out there that if y'all putting y'all girls bra, it ain't working. It's not here.
Carbon monoxide poisoning.
We got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes, y'all. I'm gonna wrap it up real quick.
I'm trying to get on Jaquitia's level.
Yeah, we do the same. We don't everything delivered to the door. Everything, groceries. Anything else delivered to the door. We don't go outside.
Okay.
They better not call saying they can't get into the door. Hey, the passcode is open it up elevator, and we're not coming down. Well, we ain't gonna take it back.
That's the next step.
There's a liability clause.
Piece of her driver essential.
Yeah, mine is, but I ain't got to go in. Congress. I'm gonna run through this. I got a minute and a half. Representative Vicky Hartzler introduced legislation on Friday that would provide liability protection for meat processing facilities, mandated by President Trump to remain open. However, they wanted it to be where you can't sue the meat packing company if you catch COVID. They don't want people to be able to sue.
So that's something. Now, thank you.
They're trying
for that news.
They're trying
to push buy that meat. I'm gonna tell you, if you buy that meat, buy you a Trumpy bear. You're a prime candidate.
Next, $1 trillion second stimulus, so they're trying to get us another stimulus package. I don't know where the money coming from. They seem to be making magical money come. So we shouldn't have had reparations if they able to come up with trillions.
Yes,
$3 trillion.
we should have.
Exactly.
$3 trillion.
$3
$3 trillion.
That's what they get. They should have gave it to us, man.
So Nancy Pelosi put it forward today, and relief bill that will see eligible Americans receive a second stimulus check. However, even if they win this in the House, they saying that the Senate is not gonna.
It's not gonna pass in the Senate.
In the Senate, so it's definitely not. Republicans ain't going for it because they feel like the Democrats are putting a whole bunch of extra pork stuff in there, trying to get some extra stuff, which I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are, but
get their earmarks in. Get your earmarks in.
That's the game. That's the game.
A lot of those Republicans are up for re-election, and so that's gonna weigh into it as well. A lot of those Republicans who are against it are up for re-election. And nobody wants to be trying to do an election. One, you can't do your door-to-door canvassing, and you got to tell these people that you denied them this money.
Right.
Hey,
so,
who y'all think gonna be the VP?
They all did agree on something. You said what now, Brenton?
Who y'all think gonna be the VP?
Kamala Harris. She's everywhere right now. She's all over the place.
Stacey Abrams.
I'm a big fan.
Stacey Abrams.
And I know most people ain't, but
yeah,
she's
but
everywhere.
they don't be
Kamala's
doing
doing interviews with everybody. I guess
that's too much like right. It's too much like
Abrams ain't got no government experience on the national level.
Neither does Trump.
She might get Secretary of State. Or she might get what's the name? Eric Holder's position.
Attorney General. At the very least, she'll get an AG. But I think she's gonna be VP. I think it's between her and Klobuchar.
She definitely don't need it.
That's who I heard he was looking at closely. But we'll see. Congress did. I know we over, but Congress did pass the House proxy voting, so they
it's not gonna pass.
They ain't got to vote. I mean, they ain't got to vote. It passed today. The proxy thing.
No, she's talking about the other.
Senate.
The stimulus.
Okay. Yeah, they passed in the House, but they ain't got to go in to vote. They can vote virtually, which it should have always been like that. It should be like that for us to vote it too. We shouldn't have to. Anyway. Last thing, I always want to talk about black deeds, great things black people are doing. From little things to big things. Jadakiss is giving back to frontline workers during COVID. He teamed up with Slice Out Hunger and Delicious Pizza to have pizzas delivered to healthcare workers in New York City. I thought that was cool that he's thinking to do something. So I think that's awesome. And that's it for this show. This was a great conversation. I definitely appreciate y'all for coming on. We had 2 minutes past our time, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. And I want to have each and every one of y'all back on at another time. This is TFG tonight. Peace out. This is it.
We'll see you. Good night, gentlemen. Good night, gentlemen.
Monday.
I'm only doing it if Stacey do it again.
What? Okay.
Real quick, we got other shows, and I always mess this up. We got other shows tomorrow. We got the wrap up at 1 p.m. And we Sunday we have I don't give a damn sports show. On Monday we have something, and I'm not going to try to go through all of them. We have a cooking show on Wednesday, Meals and Minutes. I can never remember these shows. I'm sorry, y'all. They're going to be mad at me. I'll put them in the comments.
You need a cue card.
I need a cue card. I need to write it down like I write my other
and man, you got multi-time zones, man. You got to hit them time zones.
Oh, yeah, we do got multi-time zones, too. I'll put it in the comments.
And get y'all a trumpet bear.
No trumpet bears.
Visit us on YouTube at TFG TV. Visit our website at tfgthemedia.com, thefaulkgroup.com, and catch y'all later.
All right, stay safe, y'all.
Later.
Man.